Of WSMN, its owners and/or associates.
Lisa and Robin are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robin on the mic.
Welcome back to Lisa and Robin on the mic. You were listening on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live as well as YouTube. And we are always up on Spotify. Don't forget to give us 5 stars over there.
Yes, and subscribe.
And subscribe.
I think we have like 58 followers now. We've gone up.
Yeah.
Might be 52, but yeah, please like and subscribe.
Please like and subscribe.
We are funny.
Yeah, we think we're funny.
Even if it's just to myself.
And it's free. You don't have to.
Opinion.
Yeah, it's free.
Yes.
And I think about this all the time. If, Cindy Crawford or Kanye or Rihanna post something, 70 million people like it. But your friend does something or
right.
Someone you know in your circle does something and you won't heart it because you're like, oh, I'm not getting involved.
Right. You don't. It's just supporting people.
It's free.
Yeah.
It's free. It helps curate your algorithm a little bit too.
So do you know that I put our boating reel on my YouTube channel and I tagged us in it. It's got 1.4 thousand views.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
So I'm like, oh, that was good.
Yeah, it seems like YouTube is heading towards the shorts. And I really use YouTube for long form because we have shorts everywhere else.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been like, oh, I haven't used it for that. But
yeah,
it's prioritizing them on the platform as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting. Always changing.
Always
changing.
We're prisoners to the algorithm.
Right.
If you get on social media, that's all you're
or you could just be so fine with 238 views.
So well, talking about numbers, it's really not, I don't really care about numbers, but I was surprised that got a lot of views. And on my TikTok, I usually get a lot of views on my TikTok. So I made one last night, and I thought it was beautiful. I don't know why it's coming up commercial. I heard it the other day, of course. I hate TikTok.
See, I'm not on TikTok because I thought I don't have time to develop dance routines.
I know, right?
To get on there and coordinate dance.
But a lot of times you could make the reels. So this one's only got 52. It says your mindset is either your anchor or your sail. Shoot.
Or you drown, you either.
Yeah.
Yep.
You saw that one.
Yeah, you put it on Instagram too.
Your mindset is either your anchor, your sail. The storm is inevitable, but you decide if you drift, drown, or rise. The choice is yours. And I just thought about mindset, and it's talking about like choice. Like how do you shake off other people's opinions?
It's hard. It depends on how important that person is in my life. So my spouse's opinion, your opinion, someone I really value. I value their opinion. I will go to them to ask them for something. And so I'm valuing their opinion. It's very hard for me to shake off an opinion that comes that way. I think what happens for the most part is like, it depends on how strongly I believe the thing, my opinion.
Yeah.
Too. Because I feel like I'm so staunchly anti-authority that even when things are good for me, when they come down from like an authoritative position, I want to buck them no matter what. I'm just so difficult. I'm just so difficult.
I get that.
that part of me that's you should do this, and you know, it's like I immediately don't want to do that.
Do you think, but
like, so this is an opinion, right? Maybe you shouldn't wear, maybe you're too old to wear a bikini in front of family.
I've had that.
Yeah. And if I looked better in a one piece, I would have already been in a one piece without your opinion. I'm in a two piece because despite what I look in a 2-piece, it's still better than what I look like in a 1-piece. I haven't found a 1-piece that fits that I like. Even when I was young and I had a nice body,
Yeah.
I could not wear a 1-piece because I have a longer torso and it looked like a lot of material.
Yeah.
And so when I ended up getting the 1-pieces, they had cutouts on the side.
Yeah.
And so they were physically attached as a 1-piece, but you could see skin, and that kind of broke up so much fabric.
Yeah, I think it does, because I think that you
Or
have.
it has to be really high
Yeah.
sides so that your leg
See,
has
I have
more
a
elongation.
I have a short waist, so I feel like even on, like a 1-piece, it makes me look more squat, and I feel like there's always still room in the bathing suit.
Mm-hmm.
So it never fits in. It never fits in the bum, or it just never fits right.
Yeah. So I think so it depends on what the opinion is, but I do think, people get really upset at comments on the internet or under your posts or all of that. And I think, who cares about those opinions?
But it always
Someone
affects us,
farting
so-
out an idea.
I think this is where I'm vulnerable too. When somebody says something negative, even when I don't know you, if they put something on, it hurt me. Like years ago,
Depends on how much I believe it, I guess. So if I already have an insecurity, and then your opinion is my insecurity, I probably would take it different.
It surprises me that somebody sees me that way. But then I have to pause and say, you don't really know me. Like Karen, my good old Karen. She. I've posted many pictures of Chris and I in our relationship, and she's hearted them, liked them, and loved this and all this, and commented. And then all of a sudden I say something, I don't know, it was about appreciation for him and just lifting him up and just saying how much I'm grateful for him and him being in our kids' lives. And her comment was, what about your own children? What about your children's father, or something, blah, blah, blah. And I reposted that same meme. It was the same meme, and then I wrote the words, but I had gone back, literally digging through my Facebook, and that was me caring way too much because. And I was like, look, last year she liked it, and I'm like, so now it's a whole different space, and I'm like, maybe something's going on in her life, but why? Why do you feel the need? Why do you feel the need to say what you need to say to me on a public platform? You have my phone number. You can DM me if it really bothers you that much.
Because we're all cowards.
But why
Everyone's
do you
a
have to
coward.
say it publicly? Like, you're publicly trying to shame me? And the thing is, you don't know me. I've been with this man for 17 years. 17 years. And now you want to say something negative about it? And you have no idea what my marriage was like. You don't. So I'm like, that's where I got upset. And I was like, boy, I had a hard time shaking that off, because I was like, you're coming from a place of ignorance. You have no idea.
So then the question is, how is it that someone who has no factual information's opinion still rattling?
Because I feel vulnerable, and I feel like.
Or do you, because it was on a public platform, would you have felt differently if she called you on the phone? And it's because it's a public platform for everyone to see?
I would have felt differently if she had called me, because then that means that she would like to have a conversation about it instead of judging me without any. It hurt my feelings that you can be supportive for all this time, and all of a sudden then you just drop an ugly, in my lap. And you have no clue. So that's what kind of hurt. That's the part that hurts me, because I always like, I like everything happy-go-lucky and sweet and.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's tons of negativity in the world. I'm negative. I think Lily Tomlin is the one who said we developed language so we could complain. Right?
True.
So we all have that. I'm trying not to be more of what I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be 100% of a complaining pants. I'm trying not to be a gossiper. I'm trying not to do the negative thing, because don't we have enough of that?
Yeah.
Can't I be, and it's part of that duality that we live in the light and we live in the dark. I'm just trying to be more light.
I think we all have light and dark inside of us. And I also think that some people live more in the light and some people live more in the shadows. Which is fine. It's not bad. They just have a different and I think that can be strength for people that live in the light to be able to balance that, because you can share because sometimes you need some of the dark light.
Yeah.
And I think a dark light is like the strong, the steady, the power. When I think about light is more of like the love. I think like the dark is like the work, the focus mindset of like, I'm going to keep my head down. I haven't really thought about those words about it, because I know light means to me is like dreams and hope and love and, good energy and positive vibrations. And I think we need negative energy to balance it out. But I think when you ask me that question, I think what I've been learning for me is,
But do we have to interrupt you for a second, do we have too much negative energy?
some people do, yes.
Well, I think as a society, we're becoming more negative because we have
To criticize everybody.
We have to criticize everybody. We have all of these platforms to do it. We have news cycles 24 hours a day. Even when you're on, like, I'm on my Instagram so that I could have funny videos. People are funny.
Yes.
People make some funny videos, and for
Yes.
cat pictures, and
Yes.
for puppy surprises to small children. Like, I like those, and I like the humor.
Yeah.
But I still see no matter how much I try to curate my feed, I still see the other stuff, right? And we were never meant to care about this many things at once.
Yes.
We weren't meant to hold it. So the technology has outpaced us as human beings in such a way that we are all floundering with it. No one has it figured out.
No.
No one has it figured out. Because then someone will say, well, I'm not on it because I haven't figured it out. Yes, that is perfect. But how are you navigating now? There's nothing I can't do where someone's like, can you log in and do it there?
No.
You know?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing. There's no product. There's no, even the business resolution. Like, I can't just write a check and fill out a form. I have to go online. I have to remember my password from last year. It's once a year. I can't just send in a $115 check and fill out this form and sign it.
Right.
No, it's got to be online. So how are you really
You got to remember.
navigating
You got to
that?
remember your password that you do once a year when you go to pay your registration town taxes.
Like all of that.
I'm
you
like,
know?
I would just rather go to the window. Like, I don't want to.
just
I
be
don't want to
done.
print anything out. I don't want to go online, and I hate
So-
getting on my computer.
So when like the piece of the puzzle where Twitter is I never got on Twitter, but Twitter is a disaster. Twitter has taken down some people. Because you hear something inflammatory, like it's an attack on you that feels real, but it's not at the
Yeah.
moment. And then without impulse control, you're responding. So the worst part, not the part of you that thought about it for 20 minutes and is formulating a response.
Right.
It's a reaction.
Yes.
It's not a response.
Well, so that's what I was talking about with Karen. Asking myself. I think if we learn to ask ourselves better questions, and yes, you guys should write this down.
Get out a pen, get out your notebook.
Get out your memo, your voice recorder in your car. No, what I started thinking about is it initially hurt me. It was like, ouch, and I was unsettled. But then I asked myself, why does that hurt me? Why am I upset with this? And I said in it, there were a lot of people that judged our relationship, made assumptions and accusations about our relationship very early on. So there's a wound in me. So it hit on a wound, and it hit on a vulnerability inside of me. Because a lot of people were trying to make us feel shame and feel guilty, and
And in a
even
marriage,
there was nothing wrong. It was that timing could have been a little bit better, but there wasn't anything that crossed any boundaries in my marriage. But so that's where that came from. Is like, oh, that's why it ouched me. So it's finding out, like, that's the reason why I got upset and allowed it to hurt me. But then I'm like, oh, so that's why it hurt me. But you know what? We've come so far, and look at the people that are in our lives. Look at my children. Look at my relationship with my ex-husband. It's nothing. So that thing has been over and done with. And now it's given me the ability to look back and be like, yeah, I own my part. I own the reason why. I know the reason why it hurt me. And I don't think people take the time to being like, they just angry. And it's even like on about politics and all this stuff, or, gay marriages, sex changes, all of these things that are all going outside of the world. And people have their opinion about it. Why do you have such a strong opinion about it? Ask yourself that. I don't need to know the answer. But how you show up to this world is how you show up to this world. And I don't want to show up like Karens. And so, it's worth it for my own peace of mind to dig deeper and ask myself a better question. Why does this upset me? Why am I responding this way? And a lot of times it has nothing to do with the other person. Nothing to do with them. It's everything to do with us. And we're just projecting those unhurt feelings or unhurt things inside of us. And so I look back at that and like, maybe she was going through something very difficult in her relationship and she felt like, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe her husband cheated on her and she was going through something like that. And so it gives me the ability to look at the other side and have compassion, being like, I'm just going to block you and move on.
Yeah. And I think part of when someone does have an opinion and you have to say like, is this true? Or is there something that I could use constructively? And that's all 20 minutes down the line. That is not the first time you hear anything.
Yeah.
So that is like, after you've had something, have a snack. Make sure you've had some water.
What's it? Hangry?
Yeah, don't be hangry. Like
hungry, angry, tired. I don't know what.
Which we're all of the time.
Yes.
It seems like we're all of those all of the time.
Yes.
And I also think when there are several people in like a professional capacity that I look to them and I think, wow, they do not give two blanks
Yes.
about what other people say.
Yes.
And when asked about that, they say, because it doesn't affect me, like, I don't care about them.
Joe
enough
Rogan
for
is
this.
like that too. He says that, people are always hitting him up and people are always talking about him, controversy, and he's like, it doesn't matter. And it does take a lot. I think it
But
does.
does he say why it doesn't matter to him or how he makes it not matter to him?
No. I think he's done a lot of personal development work. And I think that he's done a lot more. I think he feels good about himself, is like what he knows he puts out into this world is far better than what everybody, and it comes about a belief in yourself, I think.
And I also believe that he has changed opinions.
Yes.
Right.
And he'll tell you that he's changed opinion.
And if you're mentally flexible enough to have a change of heart or have a change of opinion, it's part of the problem is I think sometimes we are not fully ourselves enough to know who we really are. And so we hold on to these ideas or beliefs or thoughts because we believe that that's who we are.
Well, last week you said, we all wear a mask in that book. And we don't. We all do. When it's time to be the mom, it's time
And
to
we
be the
all
mom. When
project.
it's time to be the spouse, when it's time to be the realtor, when it's time to be the banker, when it's time to be the, the adult, and when it's time to be the friend. We all wear those different masks. We're supposed to. But I think sometimes we spend so much time maintaining the mask that we don't learn who we are. And that's why that part of asking yourself a better question. And I think he probably goes through that same process, like figuring out, why did this ouch me? Why did this hurt me? And did I heal from this? Or so it helps me not to attach to it. And like, there's so much more about me, or there's so much little that you do know about me. It's not mine. So however you get to that process is, because I think that what he's done is a lot of work to say, it's not mine.
Yeah. So Douglas Murray was the one I was thinking of because people come out at him viciously.
Yes.
And he says, it depends. Like, most of them don't even know who I am.
Right.
They know what they've projected onto me.
Yes.
And we all do that. We all project onto other people. If, think about if someone's gone quiet, you project that they're mad at you instead of they're just quiet.
Yes.
Or just something else is going on.
Yes.
Or you're projecting. We're all doing some form of projection.
We're projecting our feelings onto what. So
A
I wrote this
situation.
down. So this has been this phrase has been playing through my head for the last 2 weeks. And it's always been there, but just the way I wrote it. Stop hearing how it makes you feel and start hearing how it makes them feel. And that's what you're talking about. We're projecting on, hey, this hurt my feelings immediately.
Or you're making me feel shameful.
Yes. Yes.
When you're not trying to make me feel shame. I'm feeling shame about something you're saying,
Yes.
but you're not. That's
Yes.
not what you're saying.
And
I'm
that's-
projecting.
And
that.
then you get into an argument about it because, but the truth of the matter is, nobody can give you shame or guilt.
Those come inside. From
Those
inside.
those are the things that you are choosing to pick up and wear, not me.
They're the low. I think shame, guilt. Those are kind of like created. I think through religion, through culture, through
Childhood,
all of that
education system,
and
or,
it's trying to keep people in a societal line, and on some respects, but it's not always useful.
Yeah.
It just because someone guilted you about something didn't mean you should have been guilty about it.
Right. Well, I mean, we grew up in the Bible Belt, and I told you about going to bed at night and thinking like, oh my God, I had a bad thought, I'm going to go to hell. But
Yeah.
so, no, go ahead.
I'm just saying, and in living in that kind of environment where every single thing you could do could be a landmine, you become
Skittish.
hyper vigilant, hyper vigilant, and that's the first thing that you think of is fear. Fear becomes
It's
the
your
first one.
go-to, and I think that I think our parents in our society and our adults, not just our parents, the adult figures in our life, ruled by guilt and shame to get us to conform to do, because it was easier to do these things, and so it's a tool. I think they were using it as a tool, but you don't realize the damage it does later on, because now we don't really know that it's a tool, but it's like that we just feel it. And so now we're going to respond. I wrote, it's my life to explore. Everybody should say that. It's my life to explore. And we should encourage each other to live theirs. Like, who are you? Going back to the the emotions, the guilt and the shame, I wrote, you and only you are in control of your emotions. We are allowed to feel however we want to feel.
But feelings aren't facts.
Right. And you're allowed to think whatever you want to think. But what you're not allowed to do is force it onto somebody else. Force somebody else to carry your emotions. And I think that's a huge part of opinions.
So, and I think feelings, I can feel one way today, and tomorrow when I'm well rested, I've had a meal, something good happened at work, I can have that same thing happen and I won't have that feeling the same way.
Yes.
I'll have a different feeling.
Yes.
Because something else is like the idea that like I feel ashamed for doing something, and then I could do it 2 weeks later and not feel ashamed, or
I think it all depends on what the emotional place where
we
they
start.
are. Yes.
Where we're starting.
Right.
And it's not like an emotional maturity over 53 years. It's day to day, season to season. Something that might normally not make me cry. If I have 10 bad things in a row and I've just lost somebody,
Yeah.
and I'm not out of those weeds of grief, I'll take that in a whole different way.
Oh, yeah.
So because I feel something today, it doesn't mean it's a fact. Like if I feel you're hurting me
Right.
today, well, you said you were up between 2 and 4:30, so you're probably really tired. You probably haven't had anything good to eat today. You're
Right.
probably a little run down. Like if someone were to test your
not
body and
taking
say,
care
give
of
you
your
a
body.
score, you're only 50%. Maybe you can't handle a little bit more stress today. So the thing about feelings is you may feel one way, but a feeling isn't necessarily fact.
Right.
Like, the fact that the sky is blue, during the day at
God, I
noon.
have a whole thing in my old notebook about fact and feelings.
Oh, really?
Yes. I don't have to. I'll look back and see if I can find it. But
But when we're talking about feelings, if someone's telling us our feelings, also remember as they're telling us that that's today in this moment. That might not be all. And that's, I think,
Right.
one of the first things they teach you in cognitive behavioral therapy, where they're trying to use therapy to give you tools to change the way you're reacting to what life's giving you. One of the things they say is there's no all and there's no nothing. There's not all or nothing. So this catastrophic thinking that it's all, like, if you say, like, Lisa, I really didn't like whatever, it's not all of your feelings towards me.
Yeah.
It's a feeling about a situation towards me.
Yeah.
It's not all of them. And it's that catastrophic thinking or feeling. And that's a little bit based in, I don't have mental tools to help me deal with criticism. I don't have mental tools to help. I don't know very many people who handle criticism well. And I don't know a whole lot of people who know how to criticize well.
I don't think a lot of people practice constructive criticism.
Yes.
Hey, I see this about you, and I think
It's a time and place. Criticism has a time and a place that works well, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
So I have this guy was golfing with us, and he's a new golfer, and I watched him. I mean, I'm no Tiger Woods, but I can putt, and I can putt pretty good. And so it's taken me a long time to figure out what works best for me. And I was watching him smack the ball and hit the ball. And I just kept watching him over and over again. And I'm like, I don't like to be the person that says, hey, let me give you, I see this, or you could do this better. I was just saying, man, that was a really good putt. And I said, you almost had it. And I said, you know what? I said, you know what's helped me this year is I get my line, I see my line to the hole, and then I line my putter up to the hole, and I just push through the ball so the ball disappears. And so it actually makes you hit the ball better. So you're not smacking it, you're just moving. It's almost as if you're moving the ball through it. You're just pushing the ball. And man, and I just said, that's what I've done. And then I didn't say another thing else, and he started doing it a couple of times. Couple of times weeks later that we played, we were playing with another guy, and that guy said, hey, try pushing through the ball. And so I think that's constructive. Like, take it or leave it.
And there's a nice way to say something, and there's a not nice way to say something.
Yeah.
And and there's also a nice way to receive something, or being, I've always been accused of being sensitive. I am 100% a sensitive creature.
I am too.
I am feelies all up. I feel the good just as much as I feel the bad.
Yes.
So when I'm feeling good, I'm feeling really, really good. Like, I have all the feels.
Super high.
Sensitive.
Yes.
Very, very sensitive. So even the happiness is a super. So
literally, somebody can walk in, and if I know their footsteps, I can tell what kind of mood they're in by the way they're walking. They all have a different walk, and I'm like, ooh,
right,
it's gonna be a good day,
right. And I don't know.
I don't try to be that way. It just is. I've always been that way.
And to be honest, I would like to be less that way.
Yes. Even my kids.
Because I don't want to really have to be so in tune with everybody else that I'm affected by everybody else. I want your bubble.
Yes.
I want a nice thing so that if you're having a bad day, I don't also have to have a bad day.
Yes. I need you to be healthy over there.
Right.
I need you to get your bubble healthy.
Or be unhealthy over there, but try not to
just don't bring
cough
it
over here.
Yes. Don't bring it within 20 feet.
Yeah. Because I've always said that I can catch a mood like a cold. Like 6 feet.
Yes.
I'm whatever you're in, I'm in it too.
I do too.
And I have gotten better at that, but I don't even, it's happening before I'm conscious of it.
Yes.
So then I have to go back and go, like, what's happening? Oh, okay, this isn't even mine.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But if I think we thought of every single aspect of life as a practice, the way the yogis think of it, where everything is a practice. You're never going to get it right.
Yes.
You're never
Yes.
going to get your bubble right. You're
Always
never going to get.
always being a beginner.
Yeah.
And always stop. Never
And if you're
stop
always
learning.
thinking of it as a practice, if you're like, wow, I really reacted to my spouse improperly there, but I can practice again. It's not, no all or nothings. No all or nothings.
So this was in the very beginning that we talked about raising your vibrations. So I go back to one of our first shows, and it's like how to change a mindset. You know, being offended comes from past trauma, insecurities, unrealistic expectations, anxiety, and control issues. So teaching ourselves to have self-reflections, better reaching thoughts, pausing, intentional, putting a thought in your mind, reframing, rethinking.
You know what I was just thinking?
What?
This just happened really recently, so it's very fresh. I had my opinion, right? Which was, this works well for me, right? So it wasn't an opinion about what you need to do. It was an opinion about what I need to do.
Mm.
And I was told, totally understand you, 100% agree with you. This is not that. And now I'm discovering it is exactly what I thought it was.
Mm.
What exactly I said I didn't want, exactly said I wasn't going to participate in. And
Like me walking down the sandbar.
yes, yes, I said I wasn't walking on the mucky sandbar.
And yet here I am.
And here I am in this, my ankle deep into this muck.
Well, we got up past that big party boat, and then I'm like, okay, it's getting deep. You know, you guys are still at your waist, and it's like getting up to my boobs, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I can't see the water. It's cold. I'm not having fun. I participated, and now I'm turning around.
Yep.
And now I'm starting to get angry, and I'm like, they can go do their own thing. Like,
Right.
they're adults. Chris is like, come on, go there. And I'm like, why?
Right.
I've already entertained you guys this long.
Right.
I'm
done.
going back.
Right.
Going back to the boat.
Right.
I don't care if you think I'm a wuss.
Right.
I am a wuss, and I'm okay with it.
But what I was going to say about when I am so irate because I sort of feel like it's a bait and switch because we had these very distinctive conversations.
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
And then I'm like, how did I fall for this bait and switch again? I thought I was really clear with my criteria at the beginning. And it's like, well, I don't have to be mad at myself for getting into the situation yet again because I was told I was very clear about what my criteria and expectations were. And I was told that it met it.
Yeah.
And now that it doesn't.
Well, you're excited because you you buy into the dream that they're selling.
Yes.
And that's what makes you disappointed when you find out, like, wow, you didn't hear me.
Right.
That's the issue.
No,
you didn't hear me when I was saying.
You heard
and-
me because you said.
but they really didn't. Because what they really had noticed, then they would have sent different things. They would have put it in a different way to say, hey, they didn't hear what I think is they didn't hear you saying these things are important to me. Yes, I want the goal and you're promising the dream, but I can't do this, this, and this.
Right. I
And
can't
that
get
they
there
didn't
this
listen.
way.
They didn't listen to you.
And then when I had the conversation yesterday, they said was that in the intake form? I said all over the intake form as my major concern.
Don't you save it? Can't you go back and look?
Yeah,
In
I
my
can.
file right here?
Yeah.
Well, even them.
Yeah.
Can't you look it up right now online?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or this beautiful age of technology?
Right. So there's the part of me but what's interesting is I really get mad at myself.
Yeah.
Even though,
I do too. Because
in the past, it would be, did I not make myself clear? Or I let them dominate the conversation. But that wasn't this. I was very clear, and so instead of being mad at me for getting myself in this situation,
Right.
I should be angry at them.
Well, but there's nothing to be angry about.
Yeah, it's
you
just
for the situation. You trusted something, and they met.
And they lied. It was a lie.
Yes, but they sold you on the lies.
Yeah.
But they were telling you what you wanted to hear, and you were believing in it. Choices to believe in it, but you didn't have any information
at the time.
at the time not to believe in them.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like I used to get angry at myself, but the thing is, hey, I trusted. I trusted. I opened myself up. I did I did
I just
the
am
research.
trying not to make my same mistakes twice.
Right.
I'm trying not to get into like,
Well, but
Here
we're
we
learning,
are again.
like we just talked about. We're all learning. So today, so now it's you just repeat our. We were sometimes the lessons that we're learning. We're just learning faster through them.
right, it doesn't take me 2 weeks now. It takes me X amount of time.
Yeah,
24 hours.
yeah. So I mean, that is progress. That is progress forward. If you
Yes.
actually break it down to look at it, it's like, wow, I have changed my mindset. Like. And not beat yourself up. Find ways to actually love on yourself and being like, well, you know what? I trusted them. You know, I bought into what they were promising, and they felt.
They undelivered. They did not deliver what
But
they
they
promised.
sounded like they knew everything, and it was like, wow, this is like blood sugar, and oh, we've got this, and we've got this, and how to do this, and
I won't say any names, but I'll say what happened. So I met someone. They gave me the name of someone who was part of like a losing weight program, and I was very specific about I want to do this program without having to buy food, because in the past I have bought food that I do really well with whole foods. I have psoriasis, so I have an autoimmune issue. It is easily affected by gut problems. So food is a big deal to me. It's why it's one of the reasons why I cook a lot, because I'm making myself healthy. And so they assured me, and I said, I can't do preservatives. I can't do a lot of additives. I have psoriasis. It was all over my form, psoriasis. And they said, no, our food's really clean and it's perfectly macroed. And I get it. And there are, I'm not exaggerating, 50 to 60 ingredients per item, 10 of them high-risk additives. This additive disrupts
it's
gut
not
myelin.
good for your gut health.
Right. And when I have the conversation, I said, I'm really disappointed in the food that came, because we went through the whole thing about my psoriasis and all of these problems. And then the person was like, did we discuss that? Is it on your form? I said, it's 100% on the form. And it's why I said I wanted to do the program without the food. I wanted to do my own food. And I was assured that this was clean food with perfect macros, and it's not clean. The macros might be right, but the food's not clean.
Right.
Well, just give it a week. I should have returned it that day.
Yeah.
I should have said, take your whole box back that
Shove
day. And I guess that's where I'm mad.
Yeah.
In that, like, we had the conversation, we'll just test it
Well,
out
they
for
said,
a week.
but they
and
also
I said,
that it would be there in 5 to 7 days, and it took
two
two weeks to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
You're out of integrity.
Well, I mean, and I would say, okay, it's a glitch. Something happened on the weekend. Technology, of course, never technology works right. But the food that came is distinctly not real food.
Yeah.
It is distinctly process engineered food. And I specifically told you I would be part of this program. And the person who was on the call that was supposed to be, she was introduced to me as a registered dietitian. I just found out today she's not a dietitian. She's just someone who's been through the program. It's like, well, that's not what your message says. I thought I was
Well, because they got
participating.
your credit card now, so then they tell you the truth.
And so what's upsetting to me, like the part of me that's like, really, I'm going to have to go to my credit card company. Well, first of all, I'm going to have to go try to unsubscribe and see how that goes.
I wouldn't unsubscribe, because they're going to hit you up the minute that your credit card. I would call the credit card company and said, I need you to cancel any of these all of these payments,
Yeah.
future payments. Call it, because then they're going to hit you. Because I try to unsubscribe to certain junk mails. I get caught into it, and the next thing it shows up.
So now what I'm doing is when I get that you've been unsubscribed, I physically click it on my phone so that I have proof, because once you go back in, it's lost.
Yeah.
Right. But and so when I say that I got mad at myself, it was like, how did I fall for this thing? I thought I was explicit about not wanting to buy the food. No, you'll
Well, they sold you hope.
They did sell me hope. They did.
They sold you hope.
And the interesting thing is, with the verbal changes that they told me to do,
Yeah.
I've been losing half a pound a day.
Yeah.
Just changing how and when I eat.
And you're eating cleaner foods.
And
So,
I'm eating
yeah.
really clean foods. And then it turns around that it's, it shows up on the door and it's exactly what we said we didn't
So,
want.
I mean, if you take principles and just break it down, you don't need somebody else's food ever.
yeah.
You really don't. I
Right.
mean, maybe portion size, maybe portion control is if buying somebody else's,
Yes.
prepackaged food. Maybe it's specific that. But
And
the thing
some
is, you
people
can
who-
never go wrong with eating raw, natural foods.
Right.
Nuts, fruits, vegetables, and getting some of the basics and learning about your pancreas and when to eat in the morning to not get your insulin going, in maintaining small meals throughout the day. That has been said for years.
And what's really interesting, so until the food came, I was talking to someone and she was like, oh, you look a little thinner. And I was like, oh, a little bit. And when we were talking, she goes, I don't know what I'm doing. And I said something. She goes, I'm intermittent fasting. I said, so was I, but now I stop. Now I eat a half an hour after I wake up. And then she was like, but that's contrary to every single thing I see online. And I said, but are you thinner?
Right.
You'll never know. I'm not telling you this is going to work. Right now, this
Right.
is what's working for me. If it changes, I'll change.
Right.
But continue doing what you're doing. And if you're not losing weight, she goes, I'm not, and I'm starved. And by day 4, I just freak out.
Yeah.
Like I do this for
Yeah.
4 days and then I freak out. Anything healthy has to be sustainable.
But so what I've been finding is sometimes if I eat a hard-boiled egg in the morning, like before I even feel hungry, because I've been trying to do what you were telling me, so I put a little bit of the MCT oil in my coffee in the morning, so it's giving me calories right out of the gate. And then I will force myself, by the time I'm finished my coffee, force myself to either eat an orange, a little bit of an apple, and because I'm not hungry. And I know that's going to take a while for my metabolism to change. But if I just nibble on it, and if I take it in while I'm not hungry, I never really get hungry because I'm constantly putting a little bit of good food in all day. And it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't have to, I don't have to sit down and have a big meal. Like you said, you get a handful of nuts, or I'll have an orange, and then I just wait. And the slower that you eat, it actually starts your digestive system to be like, oh, hey. And you actually don't need as much food as you think you do.
And one of the things that wasn't working for me was because I was so starved when I did eat, I overate.
Yes.
Because I didn't have
Yeah.
any kind of gauge on, I was hangry.
Or my thing was, I'm only eating one meal a day. I'm going to eat dinner because that's when everybody's at home. And so I might snack here or there. But wow, how much I really deprived my body of food. And it just was because I'm not hungry. And then
Because you kind of trained yourself not to be hungry.
Right.
And you're not having any ill side effects to your knowledge. But you said your blood sugar was a little
Well,
higher.
I feel like as of now that I've been paying attention to it, I feel like sometimes my head, I almost have this foggy. Have you ever taken like Tylenol with codeine? It almost is like a very disorienting, but there's a pressure.
Yeah.
I feel that pressure in my head, and I feel it kind of in my throat. Like my heart wants to race, and I feel this weird, but I'm like, oh, I don't know what that's from. But I noticed that if I don't feel that way, if I have more water, and if I'm constantly putting a little bit of food and not letting myself get too hungry.
Mm-hmm.
The other day we were out by the pool, and I was like, I think I need to go get something because I'm starting to feel that feeling, and I'm like, wow, maybe it is my blood sugar.
Yeah, so one of
Maybe
the
it is.
things when I figured out that I didn't have anxiety, I had really, really high blood sugar. So those times that I was feeling anxious was just that my blood sugar was at like 180.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting with all this technology to have the data.
Yeah.
Now, what you do with the data is another thing.
Right.
But having the data was really, really useful.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't a guessing game.
Yeah.
But once I got my last 2 weeks, my blood sugar's been 100% green. No spikes, no nothing. Gorgeous green.
Until you ate their snacks.
Until I ate their breakfast this morning. My blood sugar spiked into the 160s. And I was freaked out. And they were like, well, let's just see how it go. I'm like, I'm not backing. I made progress. I am down 10 pounds in 2 weeks. I am
Yeah.
making progress. I am not going backwards.
Right.
If this thing is going to spike
I
my
don't need
blood
your
sugar,
food.
I don't need your food. I've been doing it fine. And again, I guess to feelings, why do I feel angry? I feel angry because I feel taken advantage of.
Yeah.
But I don't have to feel angry. I just don't have to participate.
Yes.
I can choose a different feeling.
And just realize that, hey, I learned this. Again.
I
learned this, but I learned it quicker.
yeah.
I learned it quicker. And I also learned it, but it also, that's why I was like, start thinking about things where it can empower you instead of take away from you, like beating yourself up, like, oh, I did this. Look at the things that you learned, that you can actually do it on your own, and you've been doing really well about it, and you've been managing, and look at all the things that you have learned. So there is beauty
Yes.
in that mistake. So remember the lesson and forget the mistakes is what we're going from. And
Yes.
you've also learned it faster. Like, hey, okay, how many times, when money was tight, I used to try to do my own hair, or I would get Chris to do my own hair, and we'd spend so much money, and I would cry and cry and cry. And then the next time I see my roots, I've got the reverse skunk going on, and I'm like getting so frustrated. I go back to the store, even though I know in my body it's going to not do it, and I'm going to be disappointed. I mean, I even had them take. Do you remember when they would pull it through the cap?
Yes.
I had Chris do that on my hair, all to save money. And the thing is, I'm not saving money. I wasn't saving money. And I'm just like, you just do it right the first time. But it took me so many times of like, no, I'm going to cheat the system, or I'm going to do this, or I've
Yeah.
got this figured out, or I believe this brand this time.
Yes.
And the thing is, I wasn't willing to just, I was always looking for a quick, or I was looking for somebody else to do it. They gave you some great tools.
They did.
So cancel the credit card and
Move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it is interesting because I went a couple of years ago. I went on a doctor approved. It was $1,500 to get this doctor to see you, and then you had to pay for the meals. And in 5 weeks, I lost 11 pounds the first week. I gained 2 pounds every week after that. And by week 5, I had kidney stones
Jeez, yeah.
under a doctor's supervision.
Yeah.
So what I had said to these people was, I don't like the food, because if there's a side effect to be had, I'm having it.
But
Like, who gets kidney stones from an all-protein diet?
Right.
Apparently, me and a whole bunch of other people that they don't talk about. So be careful with the types
Right.
of protein and how much protein
I
you're
can't
actually
have
eating.
energy drinks. They will put me to sleep.
Really?
Chris gave me one of those little tiny things. We were driving to Virginia one time, and he gave me these little 5-hour energy drinks. I literally felt like I was high as a kite. My heart was racing, and I was like, woohoo! I had the window down. We're like almost outside of DC. I had the window down, waving at people, and a half hour later, I was out like a light. Christine's like,
You
well, that
crashed.
didn't work. Yes.
Crashed.
Hard. So everything is, not all diets work.
Right. For everybody. We're all
everybody.
a little individualistic in our own ways.
Yes. So it's like, try it, but don't attach to it. What we need to train ourselves is, I'm going to try and see if this works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And because we get upset when we have a failure or a setback, instead of saying, no, that's not right for me.
And I think where I got mad was I had the specific conversation, can I do this without the food?
Yeah.
And I was lulled into going
Yeah.
against, because, I mean, I didn't need to learn this lesson again. I knew this lesson.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we just continue? Why couldn't you coach me through
Yeah.
what was happening?
Well,
with the
because then
food?
they don't get the sale.
Right,
They don't
Right.
get the couple $100 every month.
right, right.
Because what are you paying? Like, if they don't sell you the food, what are they charging you for for coaching?
Well, they tell you it's all in one. You're getting you're paying
Right.
for the food anyway, so
Right.
just get the food.
Right. No, you're paying for the food.
Right, you're paying for the food.
Because now I'm not paying for a certified dietitian. I'm just paying for somebody else to talk to me on the phone that's already been through the program.
Right.
You're not a dietitian.
Right,
They're like just telling you stick to the plan, stick to the plan.
right.
No.
Eat the food.
I'm telling you, I'm allergic to it. Still, try it for a week.
Right, right. And that when that happened,
I have a gluten allergy. It's all right. Just try it for a week.
you'll be fine. Don't. And what I said when oh, we'll just try it for a week. I said no. I said, what you don't understand is once I get psoriasis, I have to medicate it off. I
Yeah.
have to go get steroids. It doesn't. It
Yeah.
takes a long time to just heal on its own. It will
Yeah.
take like 6 weeks. I'm going on vacation, and
Right.
I don't want to
Right.
be covered in scales.
Right.
You
Yes.
know? And again, now I'm kind of worked myself up into my feelings, which are not facts.
Yeah, but so remember, then when you get that way, that's what I try to do when I get angry or about something. Like try to see the good in it. Try to see what is the lesson I'm trying to learn from this. Like, why did it affect me? Like asking ourselves the next best question.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm upset, why am I upset right now?
Because I knew the answer,
Right.
and
Right.
I went against it anyway.
Right. But why did you do it anyway?
Because I
Hope.
wanted to.
Hope.
I wanted an answer.
Yeah.
I wanted
Yeah.
help. I wanted
Yeah.
help.
You wanted a direction.
I wanted a direction.
You were getting frustrated.
I thought that I was going to have registered. So my insurance denied my registered dietitian. So I was looking for the next best thing.
But when your body already knew. When you're like, can I just do the coaching and not have the food? Your body already knew. So it's like your body and your brain have to catch up.
Yeah.
And now what you're doing is you're doing it faster and faster.
Yep.
And so that's a beautiful lesson and being like, okay, well, that sucked to have to repeat that again. But
Yep. Yep. $450 later.
yeah, yeah, at least it's not $450,000 later.
Right.
Right. You know what I
Or
mean?
like 10 months of $450.
Right. Dang.
Check with me to make sure my
Yes,
credit card's
yes,
not getting
yes,
charged.
So I wanted to tell you something the other day. We're talking about opinions, and I think about how choosing our words can be very important. We were watching the show the other night, and I wrote it down. So this guy, he's telling his dad they're doing a drug run, and because they're trying to get their business to go back up, so they agreed to do.
Wait, what? Who's this?
It's a movie.
Okay.
So the sheriff, the sheriff and these wealthy town people, have they do these covert drug operations. Well, so the dad is running a drug run, and he's got his son with him, and his son's like, I don't know, what are we supposed to do? And his dad said in the drug deal, and he said his advice was speak less, words get you killed. Because he's talking about like when you go to do the exchange, and I just thought about how true that is in real life. Careful with your words.
Listen more, talk less.
Yes.
From
Yes.
two radio show hosts
Yes.
who talk for 2 hours straight. And
But listen to us.
listen to us, though. Have a wonderful week, everyone. You're listening to Lisa and Robin on the mic on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. We are always up on YouTube. We are up on Spotify. Please like us in all the places, and we will see you next week. Have a good one.